That intro always gets me. Hey, what's up, Ballsville? Welcome to the recap for week 8. It's a really good week for the Gauntlet. We have the end of redraft, which determines our seedings. We have our first payouts. We have our bonuses. We have a peek into next week and the guillotine portion of the game. We're going to talk about all of that. But first, let's get into a little introduction to our guests here. These are your managers. I myself, Alex. I do the Romans. Chris over here does the Greeks. How you doing, Chris?
Doing great. Doing great.
And Ethan down there is running the Egyptians. So how you doing, Ethan?
Doing good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, always, man, always. So we're just going to get right into it, guys, because we have a lot of information to come across. Let me bring this guy up on stage. This is what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to recap the primetime games, which is what we've been doing over the last few weeks. We have the waiver recap, and we have the Gauntlet recap. Normally we do waivers, but we're just going to kind of recap what we talked about last week. Without further ado, we're going to start off with the Thursday night game, but we're not going to talk about it here. We're going to save that for tomorrow for the FF soundboard because Sarah is back from that same game. So just a teaser, tune in tomorrow, same time. We're going to have some cool freebies for you. You got to be there to claim those bad boys. So we'll move on to the Sunday night game, Green Bay versus Pittsburgh. It was an interesting game to start off with. What we found out was Tucker Kraft is a beast. He's the tight end 2 coming out of the week. He is number 1 in points per game. They had their week 5 bye, and he was drafted as the tight end 12 based off of your draft boards for all Gauntlet leagues. He's only 13 points behind Jake Ferguson, who goosed this week. Guys, you guys have any Tucker Kraft? Ethan, you have any Kraft?
Yeah, I have him in several leagues. I kind of took a tight end later approach where it was necessary. And if you got Kraft, he was, I mean, like you've seen Sunday night, it was just, I mean, he just went crazy on him. National tight end day.
Yeah, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, 33.3 Ballsville fantasy points. The success of the tight end is taken away from the wide receivers, right? We saw Christian Watson come back, and he's getting targets, which took away from Golden a little bit. They kind of ran the same game with that stretch the field speed. Wide receiver 30 is the highest Packers receiver, and that is Romeo Doubs. So if you invested in any of these Packers receivers, you're probably not happy with the choices that you have. I mean, they're an emergency flex at both. At best, right, Chris? You got any Packers receivers in your rosters?
I have more Doubs than anything else. So
he's giving you some weeks.
Yeah, he's hit or miss. He hits as much as he misses. Actually, he misses probably more than he hits. But
yeah,
he's got a high ceiling. It's just
definitely
risk putting him in there when he doesn't hit it. Then you're looking up at somebody who's ahead of you by 20 at the end of the week.
So DK Metcalf 5 for 55, 1 touchdown. He gave you 16 fantasy points. He is currently the wide receiver 17, 19 in points per game. He was taken as a wide receiver 23, so he is returning some value, but still. I don't know. For me personally, I have a lot of Metcalf, and I think that as a Metcalf owner, you never really feel like he hit his ceiling. Maybe once this season, but he always leaves you wanting more. Like there's always more on the table that he could have walked away with, and just maybe a bad drop or a missed throw. Jacobs, here's a big topic. Ethan, tell me what you think here. Jacobs had 17 touches. But Emmanuel Wilson had 15 touches, and he looked great out there. Tell me what you saw.
Yeah, I was kind of confused about the split. It was not like it was like a blowout game or anything, or no necessarily reason to give Wilson all them touches. I don't know if Jacobs has a reason that, because usually Jacobs will get, majority of the touches. So I don't know if he has like a minor injury or just something happened or what's going on with that. But it's definitely something to look into though, because that's not to me, that's not normal. In this game, like I said, it wasn't a blowout in any means. I think Pittsburgh was up at halftime. So, I mean, there wasn't any reason for that, I don't think. So, definitely something to look into, though. But I wouldn't be too concerned as a Jacobs owner.
He was questionable during the week. So I think it was just them.
Minor. Yeah, something minor.
Yeah, but that could have been what it was. I think he'll ramp right up to whatever he was before.
It was something that I've noticed in the past. The Packers medical staff is notorious for keeping players out, right? Like we saw with Aaron Jones. Anytime he had an injury, they gave him the full time slot to heal up and come back 100%. It's a little bit weird. I think over the last couple of weeks that Josh Jacobs has had that questionable tag. We saw he got hurt like in prime time, I think like 3 weeks ago. And I think he's just playing through it, and that could be why he's dipping in production a little bit. We saw Jordan Love. He's currently the quarterback 12 in points per game. He was taken as a quarterback 18, returning a little bit of value. Rodgers put up 20. Jordan Love put up 34. Overall, it's a pretty decent game. We'll move on to the next game, Monday night, Washington versus Kansas City. Rashee Rice, man. Rashee Rice, 9 for 9, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. The second cliff note, Rashee Rice is the number 1 receiver in points per game coming into the week, and he is still the wide receiver 1 in points per game at 24.4 points, which is a full point ahead of Puka Nacua. Chris, you have any Rashee Rice in your rosters?
I've got him in a couple spots. I'm glad I have him at least. I still would rather have those guys behind him in the average. I'd still rather have JSN or any of those top 5 guys.
You think he keeps this up? 9 for 9. He caught everything they threw at him.
Yeah, but you never know what night Mahomes is going to have. He could give Kelsey the majority or somebody else, and it could just – he's got so many weapons that it's not always going to be Rice every week.
So speaking of Mahomes, he is currently the quarterback 1 at 28.8 points per game, and he was taking, I think, like the quarterback 4, somewhere around there, maybe later.
Later.
It was later.
Yeah. Ethan, you have a lot of Patrick Mahomes?
I certainly do. He was getting drafted too late for my liking. He was getting drafted, I believe it was quarterback 6 or 7. If you think that was right, Chris, about 6 or 7?
Yeah, because he was going towards the end of the second round most of the time. So, yeah, that's where he would fit.
I have so much Patrick Mahomes. I don't understand why he was going that late to begin with. We knew Rice was getting suspended a little bit this year. People say Patrick Mahomes really isn't a fantasy quarterback. We see how great he is every year he plays, but I've seen him put up stats before. I mean, he has had bad years or stat-wise, he's had bad years in the past, but he's not slowing down any this year. And for Rice's fantasy output, his floor isn't too much lower than that, in my opinion. He's their number 1 receiving option. Kelsey's getting older. Even Hunt got 2 touchdowns, 1 in the air. I mean, Rice is the guy. Rice is the guy they're targeting, and a number 1 one of the best offenses with one of the best quarterbacks. So, I mean, like you said, Chris, I'd rather have JSN and a couple of them guys up there more than Rice. But Rice, he's borderline top 5 that I'd want on my team, wide receiver wise.
Absolutely. I think it's the target funnel of JSN that's more appealing. Like you said, Rice's targets can be distributed amongst anybody in that offense if a defense decides to shut down, Rashee. But you mentioned Kareem Hunt. And Kareem Hunt is our next topic. After a 17-point performance, Kareem Hunt is still the RB42 in fantasy. That's to say that he's not somebody that you're going to rush to the waivers to get because 2 touchdowns isn't prescriptive, although they do love him at the goal line, which is disheartening to see because Pacheco looks like he's healthy and running hard, and he's just not getting the opportunities. You saw a little Brashard Smith. But Kareem Hunt at the goal line and getting that second touchdown to the air, that's pretty good, and it just siphons away from any value at that RB position because you can't trust that, obviously. Overall, it was a good game until it wasn't, and then it really wasn't. So they needed Jaden Daniels on the field, in my opinion. Moving on. Speaking of Kareem Hunt, we're going to do the waiver pickup section, guys, but we're not going to talk about the players that are on waivers now. We're going to kind of recap the people that we told you to pick up last week. A couple of names we went over. Tez Johnson, which was really popular. He did give you 9 points, which kind of saved you if you put him in a flex spot. But with his schedule coming up, he's got the bye week this week, and then you can see all the red in his run here. So he's not somebody that I'm holding on my roster. Ethan, you going to keep him through his bye week, or are you dropping this guy?
Not unless it's like a super deep one. I mean, if there's somebody on the waivers that's kind of appealing, I probably wouldn't keep him. Buka's going to come back healthy. Bucky's going to come back. I mean, just targets to be spread everywhere, really, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally. All right, we'll go on to the next guy. This is somebody that I kind of picked out. This is McNichols here. I picked him out because I looked forward at his schedule. I was looking at JCM, actually, and I was looking at the schedule down here. And then I realized while I'm looking at the backfields that, McNichols is a guy that's getting the targets, the high-value targets there, and he's actually succeeding with them. You saw him highlighted last night, and he had a couple of catches there for chunk yards, and he looked real good. And if that trend continues, he is somebody that I'm willing to keep, my last bench spot open for, and just hope that there's more clarity going into that final stretch there. Maybe they get off of Chris Rodriguez and kind of funnel the opportunities to old Bill and McNichols here. So he's my hopeful. We'll go to Chris for this last one. Troy Franklin. Oh, believe it or not, guys, we were highlighting him last week and talking about him and his opportunities that he's been getting. Chris, what do you know about Franklin, and do you have any shares?
I don't have any shares. I tell you what, the way these leagues are set up, I'd probably rather have him obviously in a redraft than a gauntlet, because I don't think I'll ever trust him enough to throw him in until he put up 2 or 3 weeks in a row like this. Especially if you've got name brand guys on your team, you're not going to bench him for Franklin. But definitely in redraft, he's worthy of a spot right now because benches are deep anyways. That's how I view Franklin.
Well put. That's very well put. You see, he has Houston coming on next, so his projection on sleeper is probably going to be a little lower than average. But he's got a pretty nice stretch. He's got the Week 12 bye, which can kind of hurt you in our leagues because that's the last. You have 1 in 9 odds of getting cut that week, and Troy Franklin's not going to help you if he's not available.
Troy Franklin was wide receiver 1 this week.
He was wide receiver 1 this week. Yeah. Hell of a performance. It was 63% of the snap share.
Dang. I didn't know that.
He got the touchdown. He put it together, man. So, anyways, guys, that's the guys we talked about last week. I think we talked about 4 or 5 players, but 3 of them we hit on relatively. But we're going to get right into our next segment. We're going to turn it over to Chris. It's been such a roller coaster, Chris, with the Giants this year. Not a whole lot I want to say. We'll turn it over to you and let you talk about it, man. Tell us how it feels.
Well, a couple weeks ago, it felt great to beat the Eagles. This week, they took it on us by, hip dropping our 4th-round rookie and, killing his season the rest of the way. Not only that, but they decided, hey, the refs aren't looking anyways. Just dive forward, reach the ball out. There's no fumbles on tush pushes. It's impossible. You can't throw a flag against Philly on that play. So hopefully this ends up being a end of the season death of the tush push, and in that way it's a glass half full scenario this week. But it's just doom and gloom as a Giants fan right now.
We actually have the data. We have the data to prove that right here. The Giants fan saga, quote, loyalty is suffering. On the left over here, we have despair at the bottom. Coming up, we have misery, dread, optimism, hope. And then on the bottom here, we go by weeks. And here we are, week 8. Chris, we feel your pain, man. We feel your pain. We love you in our community.
it's not going to get any better until like 2027 because 2026 is going to be filled of Neighbors and Scatterbo getting back to speed. They're not going to be 100% at the beginning of the season. Neither one of them. They're going to be. It'll probably take 6 weeks into the season before they're, 100% ready up to their max potential. So it's going to be another, 6 win at most season. 2027 is our year, though.
Yeah, you might be right, man. You might be right.
And not only that, but now they're talking about selling off Thibodeau on defense. So he's going to be the next Super Bowl champion to leave the Giants. Either him or Daniel Jones this year.
Oh man, it's wild because as disappointing as the season is turning out, there were bright spots. That week 4 peak right there. That was a great game. You guys beat Sarah's Chargers. You came on the podcast the next week. We got to see you. You're not the type to rub it in her face, but you were definitely a little elevated that week. So to see you come back down and have to talk about the Chargers.
Listen, if you're a team that was bad enough to lose to the Giants, you're not going to win a Super Bowl this year. Trust me on that.
Ethan, you got anything to add to that?
I don't know. The Eagles and Chargers, I mean, they're two good teams. I don't think the Eagles will win personally, nor the Chargers, but so I do agree with that. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they make it far, but we'll see.
I like this little peek you have to look forward to right here in week 15. It says early draft pick. You get to look forward to that, and then they'll probably pull off a couple wins at the end of the season and lose that draft spot. So
let's go May. Yay.
I want to add one thing.
Yes.
Right there around week 4, where the chart is like at the very top, the vibes were so immaculate in New York. I thought they were about to win the whole thing.
Man, it looks great.
Well, excluding the Neighbors injury, but the win against Philly and everything had me so hyped up. I was ready to root for them forever.
So we'll update you guys on this progress. We'll follow this X along each week, and maybe we get a couple more spikes for our friend Chris.
Well, we're gonna have to do a chart for Sarah since she likes them so much down there for the Chargers.
Absolutely. Thoughts and prayers, Chris. Not really, but thoughts and prayers to Scatterbo. Hope we get our dog back. That guy's awesome, man. Everybody loves Scatterbo, and he was good for the league. Hopefully, we get him back soon. Moving on, we're going to get into our next segment, the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to make this one brief. We're going to have Ethan talk about the good. He chose James Cook. Ethan, tell us why you took James Cook here.
Okay, I chose James Cook, part of Bills Mafia. Let's see. He had 19 carries for – I don't see the yards, but he had over 200. I think it was like 217 or something, or 216. I see it, 21.6 points, and 2 rushing touchdowns against the Carolina Panthers. I didn't watch the game personally, but that's over 11 yards a carry over that, and and he was just running all over him. He was efficient. He didn't have one bad run that game. Josh Allen still put up a decent game, even though he really wasn't needed like that. And I mean, James Cook showed us why he's one of the best running backs. Usually he used to catch passes out of the backfield, but he hasn't really done a whole lot of that this season. So Bills looks like they're using him as just more of a rusher, a genuine rusher. And he's putting up 33.6 in a PPR league with 0 catches. I mean, that just shows how awesome James Cook is. And, another reason why I wanted to put him was because he was my bad one week. I think he had like 80 yards and no catches, no touchdowns. So, I mean, that was a pretty, rushing he did all right. But fantasy-wise, fantasy output, that's way below what he's expected. So, he got back to it. And if they're just using him as a straight rusher, maybe he'll give us performances like this all year.
Yeah, hey, that great analysis, man. I think that's I remember you had him on your bad segment. He's actually been on our segment a couple times. I guess we had our eyes on James Cook, but I watched some of those runs, and yeah, those were James Cook runs, man, they're spectacular. And for a guy that was they try to classify as a scat back type coming into the league, I mean, he's really living up to that Cook name. So good to see. We'll go over here to Chris for the bad. Mr. Bijan Robinson. Sadly, I have a lot of them. Chris, tell us what you saw with Bijan.
Yeah, 9 carries, 25 yards. I mean, fumble lost. I mean, he had 3 receptions, but that's nothing. I mean, they got crushed by a Dolphins team that was the bottom of the barrel as far as run defenses go. Bad week for Bijan. Miami was 2 seconds away from firing Daniels, and they probably saved his job for the rest of the year based on, winning on the road, because this was a home game for them and they showed nothing. Like, I don't know if it was just because of Cousins or whatnot, but it doesn't look like Bijan helped them out any either. So you can't blame it on defense, because Miami's defense is sorry.
And Algier got the touchdown, right?
Yeah, it was already a blowout game, and he got it towards the end. Bijan didn't even play towards the end.
Yeah, they got beat by 24.
Man. Yeah, it's wild. The Falcons have been like the most roller coaster team in my eyes, man. They've been up and down. They've been all over the place. Are they good or are they bad? I don't know if they're sure of it. But Drake London definitely missed the game. That didn't help out. And speaking of Drake London, he's not on this list, but for the ugly, I went ahead and just listed all the people that were unavailable, whether it's through injury or our bye week. We had Drake London, who we just talked about. We had Godwin Collins, Jaden Daniels, Goff, Wilson, Mixon, Neighbors, Adam Stafford, Williams, Hampton and Najee, Trey Benson and Connor, Kyler Murray, Bucky, Mike Evans, Puka, Gibbs, Harrison, St. Brown, Brock Purdy, Michael Penix, Tyrod Taylor. I don't know why he's there. Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, Lamar Jackson, and McCarthy. And I am out of breath, guys. That is a huge list. And yeah, we knew about the bye weeks, but the injuries are another thing. And these are all players that you drafted, top 100 players, except for Tyrod Taylor. But they're not available for you this week. And for me personally, I know I saw a lot of gauntlet leagues where I was the number 1 seed, and I ended up losing this week. I had a lot of Bijan, and I had a lot of players here that just weren't available. So sad to see, but we'll move on. The last thing we want to talk about is the gauntlet game, the game itself. This is why we're here. It's a big week for us. Like we said, we're wrapping up redraft. And part of wrapping up redraft is that we get to determine our first payout winners, and that's going to be the number 1 seed in standings after 8 weeks, after the redraft portion. And we also have a $50 bonus for each legion. That's the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans. You can tell what legion you're in by the first 3 letters in your league name. So for the highest points for the first 8 weeks out of each legion, we are awarding $50. And for the number 1 seed in every league, they get $30. And that's after week 8. We already have 3 people who have won $80, and we have 21 others that have won $30. And we're just getting started. So to highlight our scoring leaders, we come over here to the Ballsville website. We can do this manually, but our friend Sticky Picky has kind of revolutionized the way that we're able to isolate our scoring leaders. We can sort by week. If we take it off weekly, we can see by legion, the Egyptians, the overall highest score. And you can look right here when this was updated. This was updated a couple hours ago. So it's after the Monday night games. Keep an eye on that. Sometimes the data isn't put in yet. But the highest overall score is Mr. Ethan himself with Amon-Ra Dark. And if you click on him, you can see his roster and who he's housing. There's Patrick Mahomes, Devon Achane, Breece Hall, Zay Flowers, Lat McConkey, Jake Ferguson, who is still the tight end 1 after a goose, Olave, Daniel Jones. So some great draft picks to get you there. This little number in the parentheses tells you what draft position he was in. He was in draft position 9 out of 12. You'll see a lot of 9s up here. You'll see a few 12s. One thing I did notice going through these leagues, a lot of the leaderboards weren't drafting out of the 2 through 5 spot. the earlier portion of the draft boards. Not a lot of leaders came through there. Anyways, Ethan, for the highest score in the Egyptians, you're going to take the $50 bonus. And then if we go down to the Greeks, number one again, Mr. Degen Ethan, this time with 1,284 out of Aries Dark. You're going to take the $50 bonus there. Obviously, you're probably the number one seed in these leagues, right?
Yes, them two, yes.
Okay, and if we go to the Romans, we have not Ethan, but you were number one here at one point.
A horrid week 8.
Yeah, so Mr. Artful Dodger took it, and he's going to win $50 out of the Romans. And all these players are going to have their names input onto these sheets. And these sheets are how we track the game. If you come here now, this is the Egyptians, and Ethan's already done the work and put in all the players for the seeding. Ethan, you want to give us the name of your 8 champions?
Yes, I'll go ahead and start with Amon-Ra Light. The winner of that league would be Trader Clem up there. I have the leader at the top of every legion if you don't want to hear me talk. But for Amon-Ra Dark, that would be myself. I think that was the only undefeated one in the gauntlet. But yeah, I won Amon-Ra Dark. Osiris Light, it's going to be another Ethan. It's going to be Ethan Blinka 10. He's crowned the number one seed in that one with a $30 payout. Osiris Dart, we got Rick and more TDs claiming number one.
Nice.
Horus Light, we got Alex. Alex winning one, number one seed. Congrats.
Sweet.
Horus Dart, we got me again somehow. Won that one number one seed, so another $30.
I can tell you how. You're in the same league as me, and I'm at the bottom. That means I give you players for Fab.
Yeah, that's interesting. So real quick, we had this conversation earlier in some of the earlier episodes, but part of the strategy that some of the people have played out for these first 8 weeks is giving up some of the valuable players. Maybe they had a 4th quarterback, sell him for some Fab. But acquiring Fab because the next 4 weeks are going to be that guillotine portion. So the leaderboards are what they are now, and the seeding doesn't change, but your survival rate for the guillotine portion, if you're on the Fab recipient side, it's going to get a little easier for you. So we'll keep an eye on this league. That's Horus Dark, and we'll let you guys know how this journey goes for Chris down here. Sorry, Ethan, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Anubis Light, we got Sticky Picky taking number one in that league. And then Anubis Dark, we got TB76 claiming his first one for now. Another $30 payout.
Nice. These are good names, man. These are a lot of friends of the game. So it's nice to see Todd up there, Sticky Picky. He's one of our great friends. He's put together the scoreboards that we just kind of showed you. With that said, we'll get into the Greeks, and we'll let Chris tell us about your winners.
All right. In Zeus Light, we had C-Bomb. C-Bomb is our number one seed there. Zeus Dark, Jimmy Wojo. Aries Light, Run the Hurry Up. Congratulations. And in Aries Dark, we had Degen Ethan, High Points of the Legion. So he wins the bonus for that, the $50 bonus for that. Apollo Light, we had Jim B's Bimbies. Apollo Dark, we had Lynn JM. Poseidon Light, we had P Groat 31. And Poseidon Dark, we had Grizz Tony. And that is the Greek Legion.
Nice. So I don't know if it was this league, but I was definitely head-to-head with Grizz Tony. It's not this league because I'm not in it, but we were head-to-head going into last night. We were the number 1 and the number 2 seed with the same record. We were way underneath the median. I think the final score was like 74-76, but because somebody had to win, that single win was enough to determine the winner. And it was the lowest points scored matchup I've ever been in for the number 1
Y'all
seed.
both didn't deserve to win.
No, we didn't. And the person in fourth place, I believe, would have won, but they were sitting at 116 points, and the median crept from like 111 up to 123 after Monday Night Football, and took him under, and he got it out and wasn't able to overtake the number one seed. So that was dramatic. That was like my favorite matchup from last night. That was one of three miracles. I won one and lost two. So. For the Romans, at number one for Jupiter Light, we have Chicken Boy, and he had like a one-loss record in that league. That was pretty good. Number two in Jupiter Dark, we have Run the Hurry Up. We have Artful Dodger. There's our scoring leader in Mars Light. Mars Dark, we have K Doggy Dog. That's Trevor. Good to see you win, bud. Grizz Tony, Minerva Light. And here it is. Grizz Tony, and there's me at third. Good times. Minerva Dark, we had Lynn again. Run the Hurry Up for Saturn Light, and Big Timer for Saturn Dark. So the way this works, guys, is this order that you finish the redraft portion in, your standings right now determine your seeding. So we already have our 1 through 12 seeds. So over the next 4 weeks, as we get into this guillotine portion, after week 9, a team gets dropped. If they're the number 4 seed, they just get removed from that order, and everybody from 5 on moves up one, and the order just collapses upon itself. At the end of the 4 weeks, we're going to have numerous things happen. Oh, before we get ahead of ourselves, every week we're going to go through when the week is over and find the game-wide scoring leader for that week alone, and you're going to get the God Mode bonus. It's $25 every week. So $100 is going to be distributed throughout the game over the next 4 weeks. Once we get to the end of those 4 weeks, we'll have our seeding for 1 through 8. There's going to be another bonus, or another payout at the end of the guillotine portion. And the wording is highest season points among all remaining players in each league wins $50. Right? So in every league, after the cut, so if you're chopped and you're the season high scorer, your points don't count. Only the top 8 that remain, whoever scores the most throughout the season at this point will receive another $50 payout and could collect the bonuses throughout the next 4 weeks. So if you're in the light realm, you're going to be seeded 1 through 8. Your name's going to be entered accordingly on the bracket for week 13's playoffs. And if you're in the dark realm, your order is going to be inversed, so that if you're the number 1 seed, you're going to play the number 8 seed in the from the light version. So 1 seeds play 8 seeds, and so on and so forth. If you're middle tier, middle of the pack, you're going to be facing a pretty linear competition from the other realm. And then we're going to have the playoff portion after that week 13 matchup. There's other bonuses there, but we'll get more into the playoff bracket, the best ball playoff bracket in later episodes. Other than the bonuses, guys, one thing to look forward to is right here in the middle of week 9 and 10. 10 and 11. At the end of week 10, as we do chops, we're also going to increase your roster size. You're going to get 1 extra receiver, 1 extra flex, 3 extra benches, and that's to prepare you for the best ball playoff bracket. You'll only have 8 teams. 4 will be eliminated, and at the end of that portion, we'll have 2 weeks of a really competitive fab race, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't know, hey, Ethan, what do you think about this whole setup here in these next 4 weeks coming up?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Weeks 1 through 8 were definitely fun. Me personally, I enjoyed trying to ride the first seed most of the way. Last week was kind of a disappointment in some ways. So, this is a different type of different type of, getting ready for, trying to hold on. There's different strategies you can also hold. It's just about not being last. If you're watching this, just don't be last. Do everything you can to not be last. So, because if you're last, you can't do nothing else. So don't be last. So that's literally the only goal, is to not be last and make it to week 13. And that's personally what I'm going to try to do over the next 4 weeks, is pay attention to these and try to not do what I can to not be last.
So I got a question for you, Chris. But before I ask you that, I want to highlight something that Ethan's been kind of streamlining throughout all these leagues. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the things that has determined the players that you're rostering in these leagues is that week 9 bye week, right?
Yeah, a lot of the teams that I strategically placed week 8 buys on my team so that they would be fresh and ready for week 9. Week 8 or before, but I try not to make, unless it was before week 9, not to have more than one player on my team with each buy. So week 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Only one person on my team with each buy during the draft. Any number of those before week 9. So if the buy was before week 9, it was totally fine. Just load them up on your roster, just to get through this guillotine portion. I did not care about record going into guillotine. I wish I had maybe a little bit more. It'll change next year, obviously, with people getting dropped at the end of the first portion next year. But the way it sits this year, I thought that was sound strategy. We'll find out how it pays off in 4 weeks.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, is that we get to watch it play out. So you mentioned next year for the 2026 version, we are going to have 2 players eliminated at the end of the redraft portion. So if you're the bottom 2 in standings, you're going to get the first cuts, both teams, and then it's going to be obviously a waiver race going into the guillotine portion of it, where 4 teams get cut, and we emerge with 6 teams instead of 8. Now, because we're going to have less players in the playoff portion of it, we're going to have earlier payouts. We'll talk more about that when the time comes. But
Alex,
one of the other things,
quick question. I was going to mention this earlier. I was going to wait until we're done with this particular section. Just a question about week 13. Is it supposed to be like the winner of? I mean, I see you got 1 and 8, 2 and 7. Is it going to be like the winner of 1 and 8 plays 4 and 5? That way, the 1 seed and 2 seed wouldn't play the very next round, like for week 13.
No, that's a good question. We're just going to follow the bracket. We're not going to do any reseeding for week 14. We're giving you that easy matchup if you're the 1 seed to start off, but after that, if you go up against the 2 seed who comes out victorious, that's just going to be your matchup going forward.
That's rough.
You're going to,
you're
going to stay.
Okay.
The alternative would be to reseed. The whole thing behind that was.
No, I was saying like
reseeding.
I was saying like how the NFL bracket works. It's like you got the one like the NBA bracket. You'd have like the 1 and 8 seed, and then they play the winner of 4 and 5, and then you got 2 and 3 play the winner of 3 and 6, like without reseeding or any. I just had a question about that in particular.
You know what? That's something that we'll consider, because we're always open to the options that improve the game. Okay. And if that's something that you see that'll probably, because it is, like you said, a little rough, because if you're the 1 and the 2 seed, you're facing easier matchups. There's a high likeliness that you're going to be facing each other the following week, right before you get to these payouts. And it could be.
You'd have to take each other out anyways.
Exactly.
Along the way.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, one of the alternatives that we did explore was just kind of reseeding and putting the highest orders. But the problem is, with 2 leagues, you're going to have a 4 and a 4 seed, and then you have to dive into a tiebreaker. And if you do that for 12 gods, then it gets kind of redundant, tedious. So anytime that we can mitigate the way that the urgent work is distributed, we try to sidestep that, and that's why we're just going to keep the bracket moving along. It's going to be pretty linear after week 14.
I would imagine next year, since the playoff teams is only 6, I would imagine in that situation they will not be merging light and dark, correct?
Well, we want to. I kind of like the interaction between both realms. I like the way that's set up.
I'm just saying,
haven't solidified everything.
It would be 12 teams. So how do you do that? By giving four buys in the first round to make it.
Honestly, that's what I was thinking. It was kind of like a bye week thing. Maybe the bracket starts. Maybe we do like a league wide bracket first, where we find out the top, the winners from that league's bracket first, and then introduce both leagues together and carry on afterwards. But I mean, you're part of the circle, so we're going to put our heads together and come out with a solution that kind of best suits the purpose, allows us more flexibility to distribute these payouts, and we'll be able to explore that as we follow along with the brass balls, because we're already playing out the 2026 version here, and we've had things occur, like next week. Hey, how are we going to determine our seeding? So we have to, trial and error. It's a pilot league for the 2026 version of the Gauntlet, and what you guys are talking about. When we get to that part, we'll kind of plan and see how we're going to do it for the 2026 version when we have more than just the single league. But we talk about this weekly. It's the same concept. There's 3 ways to play the game, except for the first 8 weeks. We're going to do a pirate version for 2026. We've been doing that here. We've had trades go down where you can take one of your flex players and trade it for one of their flex players if they're not locked, or you can take fab. Ethan, you were just saying somebody took a whole bunch of fab from you, right?
Yeah, I've been collecting fab the last few weeks, and I wasn't even thinking. I was thinking, just protect my good players and just put them on the bench. I was already losing anyway. I had week 8 buys just like crazy in this league. So I wasn't thinking. I mean, I should have just left them in and tried my luck, and that way I could keep my fab, because I'm pretty sure I gave up like $90 in fab, because that was 20% of what I had, or something around 90.
97.
90, even more, almost 100.
Yeah. So this is the perfect example, because right before we went on live, we were actually discussing fab. And for a person like Ethan, who's been letting the players pass by him, and instead he's been taking fab, because, what happens if they protect the flex, but they don't have, a lot of power on their other positions for you to take, and you don't want to swap out anybody. Naturally, you want to go swap out fab. But if you're in that position where you're already overwhelmed, maybe you want to hold your fab. So we're going to develop a way that we can indicate we're going to lock down our fab and kind of force you, like, either you have to plunder a player or what. So that's what we'll explore during the off season, so we can have all that stuff prepared. These are the bridges that we come to, and then we cross them as a group, put our heads together, and come out with the best solution, so that the games are well thought out and well prepared. So when we come to this, any kind of hang up in the future, we already know that we've explored our options, and what we're putting out there is going to be what's best for the players and what's best for you. Other than that, guys, we did miss one thing. I'll pop it up right now. Chris, why don't you tell us about our mini game, our Survivor League here?
We're down to 76 left. That 115 is not the amount that was eliminated this week, I don't think. Or is that number correct, Ethan?
No,
I think that's total.
That's total. Yeah, total.
All right, so yeah, we lost quite a few on a few different games. There was a couple upsets.
I have the
It's only going to get tougher, guys.
Like me to.
We get more restricted. It's going to be they'll be dropping like flies.
Yeah, it's getting intense. Who'd you guys pick this week? Ethan, who'd you pick?
I picked Indianapolis against Tennessee. I felt like that was the easy one. No sweat at all.
Yep, same. Chris, what about you?
I picked the Eagles. There was no way they were losing to the Giants.
Sweet. Well, guys, you guys have any parting words before we get out of here? Let me know. We'll give a quick shout out to some of the people in chat. We had Cyborg chime in. We had Drew jump in. We had Short Stack, Zach, Francis, Sarah. Good to see everybody pop in here and just give a shout out. Jerry Bradshaw, he's a former champion from last year. Chris, do you have any parting words before we wrap this thing up?
If you're sitting on one of the bottom spots projection this week, I would suggest doing whatever you can not to be that bottom person. Spend that fab if you got it, because you're losing it if you don't.
Yep.
And it's just
What about you, Ethan?
and you're going to be gone. So use up that fab.
Yeah,
That's a
pretty
pro tip.
much. Pretty much just looking forward to the change in the Gauntlet leagues. Looking forward to the Guillotine portions. Trying to stay alive, like Chris said. Unless you're trying to be out, do what you can to stay afloat, and stay afloat for the next 4 weeks. Because if you lose, and you know just wasted fab and wasted everything. So just do what you can, and looking forward to a good week 9. Glad the week 8 bye week is over with though, because had a lot of week 8 buys in all my leagues. But looking forward to a good week of football, and trying to stay afloat in that gauntlet.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you guys. These weeks coming up are pretty important. I had a lot of leagues where I was the number 1 seed going into week 8, and then just fell short. Took a double L, against the median. Now going into week 9, I had a lot of week 8 by players, just like you guys. Going into week 9, it all just matters about those weekly points. You got to beat the odds. 1 of 12, 1 of 11, 1 of 10, and then 1 of 9. And if you come out of there, anything can happen in the bracket, but you have to have those players. You have to have the bench. You have to use your fab wisely. Weeks 11 and 12 are gonna be crazy.
Yeah, and you have to use it before the end of week 12 too, because there's no fab starting week 13.
There's not.
Yep, exactly.
There's not.
It's best ball.
That's new to me. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's best ball, and the reason why we can't just convert these into a chop league and just have it manually chop them is because that doesn't give us the option to convert to best ball for week 13. So
gotcha. So
it is interesting, guys.
So best ball with no waivers, correct?
No waivers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool,
just
cool.
straight best
Looking
ball,
forward to it.
and you'll be able to focus on your redraft playoffs and all that stuff, and just check in with the game, and we'll be keeping track of it. If you're in the light realm, you'll have the window to join the dark realm, so you can see what's going on in both leagues, compare your score to your opponent, and so on and so forth. So good luck, everybody, going forward. Week 9 is going to be so important. Week 8 was a blast. It was fun to actually get some payouts distributed. And here we go, man. We'll be back next week, and make sure you tune in tomorrow. Freebies tomorrow. We'll be there. Have a good night.
Yeah.